It's been over a month since The Mandalorian Season 3 ended, with mixed reviews from some. It wasn't that controversial, I think. A lot of people loved it. Some people just didn't love it, didn't hate it, but it was a mess season. But it's all leading up to, of course, the Ahsoka series, the long-awaited Ahsoka series that we've been hearing about for so many years. Now it has finally come to pass because it's not that far off, guys. If you think about it, only 2 months separate us from actually witnessing this new series of Ahsoka Tano post Return of the Jedi and during this Mandoverse situation. So naturally, after watching the trailer, we know that the antagonist pretty much is Grand Admiral Thrawn with a lot of his cronies, as we saw in Mando Season 3 as well. But what about Darth Vader? We know that Vader is dead by this point. However, is there going to be the classic Star Wars flashbacks? Ahsoka thinking back to his master, or maybe a moment that Ahsoka pretty much didn't witness herself, but it was a very important moment where Darth Vader flashed his Anakin Skywalker just for a split second during the Clone Wars finale, during the final scene of that series. Ahsoka honoring every single clone that was in that Venator Jedi cruiser was a memorable scene that will be not forgotten anytime soon from the Clone Wars finale. But if you thought that was the end of it, you were quickly proven wrong, as we jumped years ahead where a Lambda-class shuttle descends upon this moon, this unidentified moon where now it is crawling with Imperials, whether it be stormtroopers, scout droids, even snowtroopers, are scouting the area. It is revealed to be the crash of this cruiser years ago, where now we see Vader approaching the crash to inspect it for himself. Many have wondered while watching the scene, since we don't have dialogue or a monologue or anything to that nature, the Clone Wars series ends without nobody saying anything. That is the genius of Dave Filoni and how he wrapped up the Clone Wars series without a single word. Many have wondered, what is Darth Vader thinking at this moment and time? His mannerisms and the environment itself shows us a bit of what happened in his mind during these troubling times for him, since he had to revisit the past, and as we all know, Vader is not fond of the past. We start with Vader watching over the crash, signifying the moment where he realized this is where his former apprentice ended up. Once he notices the lightsaber, however, things quickly change for Vader. He has an emotional rush, although hiding it very well. He kneels down to pick up the lightsaber. One giveaway, if you look at the animation, and this was done purposefully, is if you watch closely, Vader showed a semblance of Anakin in this moment when he not only picked up the lightsaber, but removed the snow with his other hand. He wanted to check and make sure that this was indeed Ahsoka's lightsaber that he gave to her all those years ago when he was still a bright-eyed Jedi, Anakin Skywalker, somebody that he wanted to forget. But it doesn't stop there. Vader in his mind wants to push his boundaries. He wants to go a step further, not only checking the hilt, but he wants to see the blade for himself, and so he ignites the lightsaber, and indeed it is a blue hue, same as it was when Ahsoka wielded them years ago during the Clone Wars, before Order 66. For Vader, this signifies the end of that relationship. Finally, he can put closure on Ahsoka's story. He and Ahsoka were now officially done, since he never got to say goodbye to his apprentice or even see her again. This would finalize his thinking. This symbolized the end between the relationship of Anakin and Ahsoka, as bittersweet and as cold as it was. Many, though, talk about this specific scene where he watches above and sees the Morai, the female convoy that bears spiritual ties with the daughter from the Mortis arc. In the Rebel series, we're led to believe that this owl would always follow Ahsoka, something that we are not yet made privy two, but there is a definite connection between Ahsoka's presence and the Morai. Things are further complicated when we see Vader's actual eyes behind his helmet, shining a glimmer of hope that Anakin might still be inside, but not today, as he quickly disengages the lightsaber. With the lightsaber turned off, Vader now is done with this situation. In his mind, Ahsoka is now dead and they can cross her off the list of Jedi survivors. He simply turns to go back without ever looking back at Ahsoka's final resting place and the resting place of his clone brothers, members of the 501st that he served with throughout the entire Clone Wars, signifying not only the end of Ahsoka and Vader, but Vader and his former clone team, brothers in arms that served the Republic until death, and some of them actually died, unlike Darth Vader, who now serves the Sith and a newly formed empire. Obviously, from a different perspective, it is really sad to see Vader finding out that Ahsoka is quote-unquote dead since he found her lightsaber. This indicates possibly killing the last piece of Anakin. As to him, everybody from his old life is now dead, and only Vader remains in this twisted reality of his. That is, until Luke comes along. We see Luke's importance when Ahsoka and Vader meet in the Rebels series. Not even Ahsoka could revive Anakin in that specific part where we kind of suspect that Anakin is yelling out for Ahsoka to help her, but once Ahsoka turns back, Vader comes around and tells Ahsoka that she will die. Even though he practically did the same thing to Luke, it is his powerful hope that turns not only Vader but the galaxy around. I recently contemplated as well that Vader might suspect Ahsoka is not actually dead. What he decided was to just cross her off the list with the evidence that he found. We know Vader is not fond of handling personal relationships in the eyes of the Empire. He hides a lot of things from the Emperor. This might be one of those situations that he wants to handle for himself. That's why he's not all too surprised when he finds out in the Rebel series that the apprentice lives, at least in my eyes. But talk to me down below, tell me what do you guys think as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.